studio, we get busy.
I want to send a big shout out to everybody that's jumping on today for SHU Radio. I'm your host, Bud Brooklyn, and we have a special show today. And I say special because it's going to be intertwined with tech, music. It's all the things that make creatives, to me, in this day and age. Is going to be a masterful session. So glad y'all tuning in. I want to send a big shout out to everybody that's on Apple TV right now tuning in. I know our Apple TV community loves that we have a live show and they don't get to partake. I'm sorry, but we always want to acknowledge that. And shout out to MJMG Presents that's on right now. We got Jennifer Sullivan on tonight. And it's gonna be a good one because we're gonna touch a lot of different things, y'all. So I hope you got your notepads, your sticky notes, your digital, anything you could do to take some notes. You're gonna walk away with a lot of gems today, a lot of inspiration and a lot of information. And that's what we do here on SHU Radio by way of MJMG Presents. We merge education, entertainment, and we bring it to you in a live setting. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go into a video. This is Mr. Sullivan featuring Amber Essence. And after this video, we're going to get right into it because time is money and we don't want to waste either of it. So be right back, guys. This is Come Here, Mr. Sullivan. This is a MJMG Presents release, and we'll be right back with the set.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
Try to be professional, come here. But it seems like it caused a little stress in you. Trying to feel the best in you. Yes. And later on, get to know the rest of you. Come here. But you got me on pause. Yeah. Excuse me, miss. What you got in them drawers? Lord. Cause they got me like, Lord. Damn. I gotta get that out you. You know I'm about you. Come here. I don't mean to cause problems. Nah. But when I want something, I get it. Yep. You get it, you can get it. While you holding back, let me lock that. Make you wanna post 100 facts, baby, right back. Come here, let me be your everyday crush. Eat you till you gush, bend over, hush. Let you see who you gonna be. I'ma let you be the chick that you wanna be. You can call me. Come here, let yourself go. Be my private little woe. Keep my private on go. Make your river flow. Come Instead here. All day, all night talk. Let me see your heart. Let me make you breathe fast in the dog. You never gave him that. I ain't giving nothing back. Give me that. I ain't giving nothing back. 100 facts. Cause I'm like that. You never gave him that. Give me that. I ain't giving nothing back. I'm like that. Come here.
I'll be right there. Daddy, I swear I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. Daddy, I swear I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. I ain't going nowhere. You got my heartbeat racing and I can't focus. Mesmerized, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm used to being the one who keeps them hypnotized. But it's something about you, yeah. Okay, alright. You just walked in the right place, right time. Put that thing on me, on mine. You can lock it down, baby, change my life, yeah. I just wanna know, can you give me what I want? Never tell me no. Trips to Dubai, Jamaica, and the Mykonos. If you hold me down, I ain't never letting go. You spoil me, love me, give me what I need, and I'll give you everything. If you spoil me, love me, give me what I need, and I'll give you everything. I'll be right there, Daddy, I swear I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. I'll be right there, I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. Daddy, I swear I ain't going nowhere. When you tell me come here, I'll be right there. I'll be right there, I ain't going nowhere.
All right, y'all. I see the folks is coming in. Shout out to Sullivan who just jumped on No Limit Records. That was Mr. Sullivan actually on right there with Amber Essence. Shout out to Nike Stars, Vibes with CJ. I see you DM the most. Even Muse. I'm seeing the creatives and the passionate souls. They starting to rumble in. I did get a few texts from somebody that's on right now. Told me hold it back, hold back. don't start the show. Don't start the show, but we got to keep the show going. And without further ado, we're gonna do an introduction. Let's give a proper introduction. We have the president of KiTbetter North America on right now, and Jennifer Sullivan has 25 years of music and tech experience. Now, there's probably some people on the chat right now that's not even 25 years old, so that just goes to show how much work and passion, don't forget the dedication, y'all, that was put into the profession. But even before then, and I'm not gonna give too much, is we're gonna have the dialogue, but just to paint the picture and give just due respect and honor, this individual also had collaborations with like will.i.am, Demi Lovato, like BLACKPINK. Like, I'm giving you just a little taste and sprinkle so you can see what the conversation is gonna be about, y'all. Without further ado, let's bring on Jennifer Sullivan. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I see that the folks are coming in. I see the salutes and everything. You have so much experience because I didn't even go into the 14 years with memBrain, but we're not gonna fast forward. Let's talk about you. How did and where did it all start? I see everything is kind of based. Like music is predominantly around everything. How did it all start with you?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And, my parents were both very creative people. My dad was an archaeologist or is an archaeologist, and my mom was an art teacher. And so I grew up in a creative house where things were all about collecting. Like my dad had artifacts and, my mom was all about a canvas and creating something from scratch. So I think products have always been part of my life. I kind of see it as like modern artifacts where we collect things. And I think when I first moved to LA, I had gone to school for opera and I was going to be an opera singer, played piano from the time I was 4 years old, always was a singer, piano player. And I was paying my bills, teaching voice and piano lessons, moved to LA, was doing voiceover acting, graphic design, like hustling, doing everything. I could for a living. And I got a job with the company that invented the Happy Meal toys from McDonald's.
Wow.
And I was like, it was just a job, but it was working with the movie studios and working with the toy companies and creating these little toys every month, which, was super interesting. I never thought of that as like a job, and it kind of got me into marketing. So that was 25 years ago. And I've been kind of in that world ever since. And it's afforded me the opportunity to work with a lot of artists. And as an artist, as somebody that, was trying to make it as a singer, I kind of fell into a job that paid the bills that I also felt itch the creative, scratch the creative itch, I guess, that I had. So that was how I kind of got into marketing. And my career has been all about taking culture and putting culture together with storytelling for brands or storytelling for artists. So I've had the chance, like you mentioned, to work with some incredible musicians, people like will.i.am, who is a genius on so many levels, not just on the music level, but as a entrepreneur and as a technologist and as a futurist. And really, I would say working with working with the futurist at Intel, Brian David Johnson, like that put me on a path towards futurism, which is what I do now, which is more marketing futurism and thinking about the future that I want for the companies that I'm working with. So that's my story. It's a long and winding road, but it started with archaeology and art and music, and at a young age, and it's all come together now with what I'm working on now.
So how did you transition from, working in that space with, designing or creating the Happy Meal toys to furthering into the direction of what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of opportunities, taking advantage of opportunities, being willing to take leaps whenever opportunities presented themselves. So, when I had the opportunity to work with McDonald's, that was the first leap. That was something very different outside of my comfort zone. When I got offered the opportunity to work with Destiny's Child on their final tour, I came up with a whole concept for McDonald's for that, for Destiny Fulfilled and Loving It, which was
Mm,
like the last Destiny's Child tour. And I just came up with like a concept. This is an example. I came up with a concept that was loosely based on what you two did with the Red campaign. And you could text in and you could make a donation. And this was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I
ago.
mean, this is like a long time ago, and texting in and ringtones were still a thing. And I came up with this concept, like, what if we did that on tour with McDonald's with Destiny's Child? And next day I'm in front of the president of McDonald's pitching my idea. And I was like, I was not a senior marketing person at the time. I mean, this is going back. And it was the first time that I kind of felt like, wait a minute, I can make things happen. I can manifest things. I can have an idea yesterday and today be sitting in front of somebody that makes a decision that then puts me on a, path. And I think that's really what's been the consistent thread throughout my entire career, has been just going for it and not being afraid to come up with ideas and push things forward, not being afraid to fail. Like we had lots of things that didn't go exactly right, but for everything that went wrong, if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have had that next opportunity.
That is
So,
so true.
yeah.
Last week we spoke a lot about pitching and branding on a few of my live shows, and you mentioned pitching it. What are some of your techniques or your approach to pitching? And I'm just sharing that because there was a lot of people who were on, and I feel like this is in the same pipeline of what we were talking about all week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as an artist, you're a brand, and so you really need to be able to convince people of why you're important and why, you have something to say, why they should pay attention or listen to you. Just like any company, any product launch. So, storytelling is a big part of it. Being able to communicate why, kind of starting with that, this is why this is important. I'm a big visual person. I like to have graphics. I like to be able to show things. I think people are multisensory now, so I think being able to show your concept in addition to having people hear what your concept is about is important. I was lucky because I did graphic design coming up, and my mom was an art teacher, so I was very visual. So that was always my superpower, was presentation. uh but yeah, I would say brand is all about presentation, continuity. I think a lot of us are enamored with AI, and like, oh, we could just generate a graphic, and there are benefits to that, to be able to communicate something quick. But you want to be able to start building something for yourself, so creating kind of an identity for yourself. So I think for artists that are starting to get into that space, experiment, but also find yourself a good artist that you want to collaborate with in the long term, just like you would a songwriter, just like you would a producer. I think finding good artists, good photographer, like visuals are so important. I used to have a music magazine when I was at memBrain,
Hmm.
that was Storm Report, and I would say, one of the big challenges we had with younger artists were really bad quality photos. Like they'd shoot a photo on their iPhone and send it in, and we would be like, "Well, we don't want to do a print magazine. We need high resolution photos." Like, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. You just need to find somebody with a good camera. But that becomes your brand, and at least for that album or that project, like, you want to have it be consistent.
That's right. And just to give a little bit more context to your accolades with the Stone Report, you actually got to work with early brands like an artist like Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, to name a few. When starting like the storm report and doing pitches, I could imagine you ran across so many roadblocks or things that were interfering. And how did you, if there's one moment that you remember that you got over the hump, please share. But how did you target, facing that no or that failure mark or the quote unquote failure?
Yeah, I mean, with the storm report, we started it 14 years ago. So it was before Instagram, it was before Spotify was big. I mean, there was before a lot of the technologies and the like data that we have now in terms of identifying emerging artists and trends. It's much easier now. You have things like Chartmetric, and you have lots of tools that are available if you're in the A&R world and you're looking to identify up and coming artists. So we used a lot of gut instinct back in the day.
Yep.
The biggest challenge I had with the storm report, really the reason we created it, was I was doing a lot of sync licensing for commercials with brands. And so we would present Ariana Grande or The Weeknd or Ed Sheeran to a Hasbro or a McDonald's or an Intel or whomever we were working with. And a lot of times, and this was before the magazine, we would present these artists and say, like, this is an artist we think is a good fit, and here's why it fits the campaign. And if that artist wasn't on the radio or, kind of in the zeitgeist of that particular moment yet, we get a no. And that was at the time when, I have presentations where it was like, Dua Lipa, and it's like the dollar signs are just a couple of dollar signs. Like, we could get this person, we can work with this artist, like this is an artist that you can actually work with. And then like a year later, we would come back, we would get people coming back saying, oh, I want to work with that artist now. And we'd be like, well, that artist just added a few more dollar signs. So you missed your opportunity. But we build up trust. And because, those types of things happen, even if we didn't get that campaign at that moment, we got the next one. And it also worked out on the artist side. Like, we had artists that were like, no, I don't want to be in the magazine, or I don't want to be part of it. Most artists were pretty cool about being in, because they wanted that exposure to brand partners. And we had like 5,000 subscribers. So it was a smaller subscriber list, but it was very much targeted to like marketing agencies, advertising agencies, people that were decision makers for brand campaigns. So, and we started making those happen. Once that happened, then it was kind of like we started getting submissions, and people were really excited to work with us.
Nice. You just showed that you got the A&R. You got the A&R soul, because you was doing this without analytics. It was like you said, gut feel.
Yeah.
For those that are just jumping on right now, we are sitting with Jennifer Sullivan. She is the Chief Marketing Officer and President of KiTbetter North America. She was telling us about her travels, and we get. I know the feed. They want to get to the kit. They want to get to the kit. But I'm warming them up. Take your times. I just read a text right now. He's like, "Yo, bro, can we talk about? Can we get to the KiTbetter?" I'm like, "We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there." So. I know you did that. You did memBrain for 14 years, right?
Yes.
14 years. Was it a point for you wanting to expand, your creativity, your mind frame, the season of things? How was the transition from that going into where you are now?
So I met the KiTbetter team a couple of years ago, and actually they hired us when I was at memBrain. They hired me as their agency, and so I had a little bit of a nice transition. I didn't just, jump into a completely different company. I had a team that I've been working with for a while. Working at memBrain was always about problem solving and, coming up with new opportunities all the time. So there was a hustle that went along with that, and trying to find the next client, the next project. And we were working with a lot of different companies. My creativity was pretty stretched, working on all of these different brand projects and artist projects. So I was ready for something a little more focused. And with Kit, it's exciting. It was exciting and appealing to me because it's kind of everything. It's the artist curation, it's product, it's marketing, it's international. We're bringing product from, we're working with a company that started in Korea and Seoul.
Yes.
Which is the hottest, kind of hotbed for talent in the world right now. So it was all of those things. But it's been great. I've been at this job since January, so it's still pretty new, but it's like 6 months. as of yesterday.
And you know, I've been showing a lot of people. This is one of the Kit albums that we released under them, and I've been showing this a lot. Could you talk a little bit about like the mission?
Hmm.
And because some people might look at it and be like, oh, it's nostalgic, or it's souvenirish, but it's could we talk about the impact and how powerful this can be and is?
Totally. I think Kit was really born out of the idea that, we don't really have to choose between analog and digital, right? Like we've lived in a world now, and I think we're all kind of nostalgic, or at least older people are nostalgic for the analog days of vinyl and CDs, and artists like Taylor Swift and lots of other artists are kind of bringing back that craze of vinyl collecting. I think it was always about collecting, and I think that the team, the Muse Live is the manufacturer that created KiTbetter. They started in 2012. So this has been going on for a long time. In 2014, they released the first connected album, which was a smart media card with a K-pop group. And that was kind of like the early days of the rise of K-pop. And they didn't really have the vinyl craze. Like it wasn't as big of a thing there. They always had CDs, and CDs were really starting to drop off with iPod and, the
Yeah.
iTunes, and then Spotify just kind of killed all of that. And it was all about convenience. It was kind of about, having music at your fingertips. Which is great. Like the technology of the phone is very powerful, but it kind of takes, we're missing that tactile collectible feeling of being able to hold something tangible in your hands. And we're seeing this like revival of vinyl and CDs and even cassettes happen because people want to show their fandom. They want to be able to have a symbol of their fandom that they can show to their fans. And so the Kit album was born out of a desire to create something that was on the business side better for artists and the industry, because it restores the value proposition of something that people will actually pay money for, and that gives them something they can hold in their hands. From a consumer perspective, it's not invisible. It
Yes.
becomes something tangible and real again that they can hold in their hands. But then it doesn't lose the convenience of being able to play it on your player, on the device that you have, your smartphone, your tablet, your head mounted display, if you do the VR thing for your music, I don't know. And taking advantage of the fact that music is no longer just music. It's visual. It's not just audio. It's visual. It's there's multiple dimensions to an album. People have lyrics and stories, and so there's you want to be able to read about the team that worked on the album, the photographers, the people that were involved in kind of building that universe. And K-pop does it really well. So that's that. The origin story is that we started in K-pop because K-pop was really built as business. It was really always about creating some kind of product that could be merchandised, and that is the artists themselves. I mean, the artists are built from the ground up. A lot of times there's a show where they're a reality show where they're chosen, they build their community, their fan bases individually, they put them together, they become like superpowers. I mean, it's like it's the Ultron model of
Yes.
building an artist. But it works, and they do it again and again and again. And we used to do that as an industry in the West, and we haven't really done that in a minute. But you have artists like Beyonce and artists like Taylor Swift who are releasing concept albums that have music video drops that kind of are just as exciting and meaningful to the fans as the music itself. And then there's all of the products and the merchandise that go along with it. So we put all of that into one package, and we make it affordable. And we make it, easy for fans to purchase, and for artists to release too. Our minimum order quantity is like 30 units. So any artist, pretty much of any artist of any size can put up their album today and make some good money on it.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it's fun. My first kit was Snoop Dogg's album.
Oh
It was
yeah.
it was a Snoop Dogg album. It was my first one. You got to see, and yes, there you go, right there. Yeah, that's my first. It came with the patch. It showed you the
Yes.
studio. It gave you a lot of content, and that's what I like. How it merged a lot of what we're doing today. Like you said, it gave a real tangible feel. You mentioned about K-pop, and now we're coming into North America. From the markets that you've been able to be a part of and see, what do you think the American market is doing wrong, or the artists here are doing wrong, if anything?
Yeah, I don't think it's the artists. I really do think that this is an industry challenge versus artist challenge. I think actually it's probably one of the best times for artists in terms of having access to first party data and being able to build a fan base, getting an email list. All of those things are like, I think there's a lot of negotiating power that artists have now. Um, I think, the challenge is really the business model. And, again, it comes down to like retail and, where the product goes. And, we're seeing that artists are able to sell direct to
Yeah.
their fans, and they can make a lot more money that way. They kind of take out a lot of the middlemen. You kind of cut through a lot of the bureaucracy of, the A&R or the, whatever label choosing, who gets what placement or feature, or, I think that a lot of those types of things are starting to evolve because we went through this era of the Spotify and TikTok and artists coming out of those platforms that were, maybe one hit wonders, and like, and the one hit was maybe 15 seconds of that song that got synced onto a commercial, and that
Commer-
was the only part that like people actually even know. And
no, yes.
yeah, so I feel like we have so many more people that are artists. I think there's still going to be only so much mind share. I think niche, kind of focusing on niche and going after, kind of micro audiences is probably the best advice I would give any artist starting right now. And I don't think it's the West having a problem as much as it is like we've not really embraced, and I don't think that it will work as well with fans to try to manufacture an artist. Like here, we need to work with artists with the vision that they have and empower them and give them a platform. And I think you're going to see that more and more. And we've already seen it. We've seen tons of artists, Tyler the Creator, and like artists that literally are
Yes.
just like, building empires around themselves, with support from labels, but really, kind of with the support of their own team.
I like that, and I wanted to ask that just to hear your perspective, and also give our viewers a perspective, because sometimes we have that misconception that it's wrong here or it's right there. So I wanted you to give that input. There's one question on this show that we that's always the same. This is the only question that I asked every person on here, and if you could talk and look back at the younger version of Jennifer Sullivan and tell yourself something, anything, what would that be?
I would say, I think I would tell myself to be brave and to just follow my gut. No, don't be afraid of what other people think of you. Just, kind of embrace what you are, who you are. Your story is unique. And everything, everything that's happened to me in my life has become part of what I am now and who I am now. Yeah, I think we don't realize that when we're young. We don't really take those moments to think about like what is this happening to me right now mean for me next.
That's
And
true.
I think I have a friend who's going through a process of figuring out. She's starting a business that's all about kind of looking at like giving people a moment to pause and think about, rather than wait till the end of your life to think about all the things you've accomplished. Like accomplish things and acknowledge them in the moment, because that's what's going to really help you to see what's next. And that's part of being a visionary is kind of taking advantage of the moment. So even the painful stuff, like just
All of it's part of the journey, right?
own it. Yep.
That's right. No, I love that. I love that. I found myself doing a lot more of acknowledging, my journey and my successes, big or small, and everything I've achieved. So everyone out there, most definitely give yourself that moment to reflect and appreciate it. Appreciate it. Again, if you're just jumping on, we are talking to the chief marketing officer and president of KiTbetter. Now, as chief marketing officer and president, what I hear is a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of work, and more work. Could you talk a little bit about your position and what your standpoint is for KiTbetter North America?
Yeah. So obviously we're building a team in LA. I was able to bring over some of my team members from my agency, which was great. So we hit the ground running here. We're opening a factory in Torrance in LA. So we'll be able to manufacture here in California, which will be great. So I think, for Muse Live, the parent company that started KiTbetter, I think they see the US as a huge opportunity. There's so many artists here, and it's such a great business opportunity. From a marketing perspective, as CMO, I'm looking at this from a brand positioning perspective. Like, brand marketers are all about the storytelling and the why, and kind of like what's our purpose. But it's also about giving people a sense of like what, why we exist. And I think it's always about constant improvement. So product is part of that mix. So we're focusing on, what people really care about. So I've just been really focused on kind of getting our story straight. This is our history. I think I also came in as a fresh pair of eyes on a company, like I said, that's been operating since 2014. So they've been doing this. They have 26 patents on their technology. So it's it's a very tech-driven company, and they've continued to improve upon that. But a lot of times when you have a technology company, everybody's kind of thinking about the tech and not necessarily talking about like why that tech is important and why people should care about it. And so I am helping to give people a sense of, this is why this exists and this is why this was created. And then I think also figuring out how we bring artists into that conversation as well as fans. So getting user-generated content, working with people like you, to help tell our story. So it's not just us out there trying to be a mouthpiece. It's more about, having artists out there talking about, their experience releasing a kid album and why they did it. And, that's the best marketing that we can have is getting the community around us. So I'm just really focused on building our team as president in LA. Hopefully we'll be expanding into New York and Atlanta and Chicago, Austin, like all of the major cities. I want to be in Nashville. I want team members everywhere. We're pretty remote. Like we work really independently. Like I really believe in creating a culture that is, entrepreneurial, and everybody's kind of thinking about how they can improve and how they can fix things and make things better for the future. But then, from a marketing perspective, it's all about just, giving people the tools to go out there and tell the story for us. And that's, getting people to be evangelists for us.
Nice.
That's
Nice. You're setting fire on a new path that needs to be set. So thank you on that. It's an amazing and exciting time for the creative, and things like this add to it. We did have a question in the feed. We know that Indie Week is coming before us, and the question was, what are you going to be speaking about on Indie Week?
Yeah, so I am on a panel at Indie Week that is all about revisiting the physical media. I'm actually speaking twice. I'm speaking at Indie Week. I'm also speaking at New York Music Month on Friday.
Okay.
About merchandise and merchandise strategy. So first it'll be about merchandise strategy. Then it will be all about, this emerging need that consumers have. That I think it's like 1 billion vinyl records were sold last year. I mean, a
A
billion.
billion.
That's a lot of product, and I think people are starting to pay attention. It's not just nostalgia. Like this is about a real consumer demand that makes money for artists and for labels and for everybody involved. So I feel like we're an important topic this year. So it's a nice mix. It'll be a really great conversation. It's on Thursday at
Okay.
Indie Week. So if anyone's at Indie Week, hit me up and we'll meet.
You heard? You brought up merch, and merch is something that comes up a lot with artists. Speaking from a chief marketing officer, I got to keep putting it perspective. What are some of the important things when someone or an artist or creative is diving into their merch for their brand? What are some of the most important things to focus on to help maximize their exposure?
Yeah, I mean, I think design is so important and continuity in design. This is your brand. If you are going to be marketing a new software, a new soft drink, you would want it to look consistent. So think of yourself as a mini Coca-Cola, and you're launching your soft drink, and this is what it's about. This is what it tastes like. This is what it feels like. Like you need to kind of put together that style guide for yourself of what you are, what you aren't, what this album is, what it isn't, why it exists, why is it important, why should somebody care, why should somebody take their time out to listen to it. Like all of that needs to happen. Merchandise is part of that. Merchandise is kind of like I said, I'm all about getting community to promote our brand. That's what you need to do too. Like as an artist, like you use your merchandise to get it out into the universe so that people are wearing it on the street and people are like, oh, what's that band, or who's that artist, or why do you have that keychain, why do you have that little Kit album that you're carrying around with you, what is that thing? Those are the things that spark conversation. The best marketing tool that you can have is your merchandise. So you want it to be identifiable. You want to make sure that people see it and they know immediately that it's you.
There we go. Identifiable. We spoke about that this week. So I'm loving the correlation to what you're saying and what we spoke about, because it's re-informing for our listeners and everyone. So I know there's so many exciting things. Some we probably can't talk about. But as far as KiTbetter, I know you mentioned about the factory. What's next? Like what's in store, or what could we look for into the near future with KiTbetter?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We have a platform right now where artists are able to release music directly through our website, which there's a do-it-yourself aspect of our website, which is release an album. It just says release an album, and you can go through the process of putting your music, your photos, like all of your content up there, and releasing an album within a couple of weeks, which is awesome. And like I said, the minimum order for that is like 30 units, which is pretty low. I think the cost is somewhere around like $8 or $9 for that level. So for a couple $100, you're able to then sell product for like $20 a piece, sell your album for $20 a piece. You can make like $600. That's a great margin. Like, you
It
buy
is.
250, sell for 600. Like that's not what you're making on streaming, right?
Mm.
So that process is something that we've been refining and working on for the past couple of months. So I can say within the next couple of months that's going to be at a next level. So we've been working on making that easier, really frictionless for artists, so they can get in there, get their creative juices flowing to kind of lay out everything that they want in their Kit album and release it right away. So that's a process that I want to have ready in the next couple of months, and that's going to be a big deal.
Gotcha. The
Get
chat.
hundreds of thousands of artists on that platform releasing their music. That just is like game changer, game over. And independent artists are so important.
The beautiful part about it all as well is the excitement that you are displaying in the process of saying some exciting stuff shows a really deep connection to it. And I think that's real warming, especially for creatives like myself and those that are watching, because it does get into a callous space when people have the ability or access point for you to get your music out there to masses. So it's most definitely a breath of fresh air. MJMG presents said in the chat, like, I made more money with Kit than streaming streaming in my life. They put out there. So, just to go along to what you were saying about the KiTbetter and everything. If someone wants to connect or get to the kit, or what's the best way? Because I know the questions and everyone's wondering, what's the best way for them? Is it the website? How would someone, if they want to, take them steps, what's the best way for them?
Yeah, I mean, anyone can email me directly. It's just Jennifer@KiTbetter.com, super easy. But you can just follow us on Instagram. We're very active on Instagram. We check our DMs all the time. So it's kit.better is our handle there. And KIT, by the way, stands for Keep in Touch. So it's easy to remember. It's not just a little kit. It's actually Keep in Touch album, which I love.
That's right. I love that. Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're in the era of giving flowers, right? And everyone's giving flowers and acknowledgement. But here on SHU Radio, by way of MJMG, we like to give our honor, because flowers do die, but honor lasts forever. And I want to just take this time to give you your honor for how you have not only given and added to the way music and creative is, but your passion and your respect for it. Even asking questions about, which market you feel is wrong, and your approach was like, there isn't no wrong. This is a great time for artists. You spoke about words like community. You spoke about expression. You talk about giving people the access. So we just want to take this time to acknowledge you for that and give you your honor. So could we get a round of applause for Jennifer Sullivan in not only the creative aspect, but the connection aspect for the community of creatives and us as artists. So thank you, by way of MJMG Presents and SHU Radio and myself. Most definitely thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Most definitely. Before we let you go, because you got a busy week and you got a lot of things you got to attend to, is there any closing words, anything you want to share to our viewers? We have creatives on. We have, I must say, acknowledge everybody on Apple TV, Google TV, and all the other TVs that can't get into the chat. So I want to give an acknowledgement to them too. But is there any closing remarks you would like to share to the creatives out there?
I would just say, this is all about connecting to people with art. And I think art is a lot of things. So we're excited to work with musicians, filmmakers, podcasters. This is an opportunity. If you're one of those artists that has real vision, that's conceptual, that's visual, it's a perfect format for you. And I'm just, I'm a fan first and foremost. So I think if you're a fan of, what you're doing, I think that's the most important thing. So, love your music, love what you're doing, love the products that you're putting out there, and they'll be great.
I have a saying that I say on Wednesdays. You got to be your biggest fan.
Right.
You got to be your biggest fan. But again, I want to thank you. The chat is saying this interview was an eye-opener. We're getting a lot of claps and hands. They're saying this is dope. So thank you again for sharing everything that you share and everything you're doing. I'm glad that our listeners and viewers got some insight. I knew it. I said it from the beginning, y'all. I hope y'all was paying attention. I said it from the beginning. I knew it was coming up, but I'm so glad we was able to make it happen. Again, thank you for coming on SHU Radio by way of MJMG. We really appreciate this.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you. So travel safely. I know you're going to get some stuff you got to do, and we'll most definitely be in touch.
For sure. Take care.
Have a great one.
Please connect.
Yes. Keep in touch. Keep in touch. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.
Oh man, guys, this was super cool. Shout out to Jennifer Sullivan. If you just jumping on right now, we had the chief marketing officer and president of KiTbetter North America, and she was just sharing not only her journey, but how marketing and promo, as well as the creativity, emerged in media and tech together. It was really dope, and it was very impactful and fast. Like always, if you got anything, if you didn't get anything from the conversation, there was a lot to get, but if you didn't get anything, I hope you got this. There was one moment where she was speaking about, you know, this, the branding, and she was like, yo, you gotta be seen, you gotta put your brand out there. And I'm gonna stop the music. I know a lot of creatives, I know a lot of artists, I know a lot of people that's on right now and some that's not on, that have a talent, have a song, have a product, and we're waiting for the right moment. We're waiting for I gotta build my this, and I gotta wait till it's 500 people, and I gotta wait to this, and doing all this outside stuff. Put the shit out. Let the universe see it, and then you work on the next one. And instead of waiting for the right time, keep making more times. Because waiting for the right time, I can almost guarantee you missed it a few times. So make your times. Put it out there. Be a fan of your music. Be a fan of your art, your merch. Love it. Stop waiting on what demographic wants it. How many people saw it? If there's 10 people who stream your music, don't pull it down. You ever been in a room with 10 people? You ever been in a room with 20 people? 50 people? Matter of fact, 100 people. One dude once told me he got 100 views and he was disappointed. You ever saw 100 people in a room? You could open up a club with that. You could max out a restaurant with that. So stop looking at what you don't got and start looking and paying attention to what you do have. Because you might have all the numbers, all the value, all the dope music right in front of you, and you waiting for someone else's perspective to make it happen. Shout out to everybody that was on today. I got my Sherman on. I'm gonna start sending around an offering plate. But it was a really dope show. Shout out to Jennifer Sullivan. Had many conversations with her, really passionate. It was really dope. So it was really dope to have her on today to share with y'all. Again, we're always trying to merge the creativity and artistry and giving you some education and entertainment. My man Castro said, I appreciate my 20 subscribers. I feel you on that. You most definitely gotta appreciate what you have, y'all. Be a super creative man and don't let that go. All right, y'all. I know the set was a little early. She has a lot to do. She's flying back and forth. But my man DMO said the Sherman. You know I gotta give her Sherman. You know I got to. It wouldn't be Spud, man. I got to. And the crazy part, I'm actually a shy, quiet dude too. It's crazy. But we're gonna go into a video. I might go into 1 or 2 videos for the night. What's going on, David's World? Give y'all some vibes, anything. Matter of fact, before we even go, if you got a request, you could just put it in the chat. I'm not taking no emails. If you got a request of a song that we possibly played before or something, maybe I'll find it. But I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of music so we can ride the night out. But check this out. We started it with Serve. We're gonna have another one with Serve. This is called In My Feelings with Veronica Silk. So check this out, y'all. This is SHU Radio by way of MJMG presents.